live. This is One for the Record. I'm Diana, and today is April 29th, 2012. It is Sunday evening, and we're going to listen in on Dr. DEAGLE. His medical, NUTRIMEDICAL report off of Genesis Communications Radio. And what I'll do, I'm waiting for the commercial to break. He started talking about Fukushima, which was very interesting. Let's see if he's back yet. He's probably not. No. So let's see if we can catch that, and we'll give news reports up in between, which I think is the best way of doing this. I like doing it this way. And that way you guys can just listen and go about your business around the house and get ready for whatever you need to do tomorrow and for the rest of the week. And let's see. Starting to line up all your news items here. Here we go. It's not on yet. It should be coming back any minute. So let me get this ready for you guys. I can always edit this out, but I'd rather not because I'm going live. Nope, still commercials. Got a lot of commercials going on today. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. Here we go.
Certified, sent to Dr. Bill. And it says right on here, from San Diego Gas and Electric. And I want to read the latest. I just got a flash email here from Rob States, our Master of Science in Northern California. And it said, we wanted to let you know that on April 19th, 2012, the California Public Utilities Commission, CPUC, approved a program to offer residential customers the opportunity to opt out of SDG&E's smart meter program. I thought I already had a solid-state non-RFID meter on my home now. Okay? The CPUC, by the way, they threatened to put me in jail for a year, treble damages, and seize assets in my home because I wanted an analog meter in my home, which is these are a radio hazard danger, a fire hazard danger for electrical fires, and, of course, they are a snoop meter, which violates the wiretapping fraud federal laws. So the CPUC's decision gives residential customers a choice of analog meter and gas meters instead of smart meters. Now, by the way, the federal law does not empower the CPUC to do this. In fact, it says Rob quotes this under his email, under state utility code, utilities may not charge extra to people to protect their safety and health. Smart meters are threats to both, according to the scientific studies. And, of course, he attaches a PDF. Code 38.2b states no customer should have to pay separate fees for utilizing services that protect public or customer safety. Code 453b, no public utility shall prejudice, disadvantage, or require different rates or deposit amounts from a person because of medical condition. So, much more on this. I'm in the process of filing a Public Records Act against the California Public Utilities and San Diego Gas and Electric. We'll be passing this lawsuit over to Jonathan Ebor's legal affiliate group in Arizona. And what's unique about my lawsuit, and this is according to Dr. Olio Hansen in Sweden, that the lawsuit that I'm preparing is the first in history. There's other lawsuits in local court, small claims court, etc. And I'll be an expert witness for D.B. Kidd and her lawsuits in Texas. But the lawsuit I'm filing is in federal court, and it'll file it against unjust enrichment, which is a RICO violation, as well a wiretapping fraud. It is a hacking danger for hacking. It causes fires, electrical fires. It causes dirty electricity that pumps it into the ground. And I talked to the wife of Dr. Sam Millen, who will be back on the program. We're coming for you, Dr. Sam Millen, myself, and many others. We've also been called to do a conference on this. I want to do a conference on smart meters on my live stream channel. Rather than me having to assemble all these people and wait till July, because one of the other hosts for Genesis want me to wait, I'm going to do a multi-site live stream conference sometime in the next few weeks for our live stream members, and it'll be up in the archives. In that conference, we'll talk about all these issues. We'll bring on experts like Rob States, Dr. Sam Millen. We'll probably try to bring on our experts in Sweden and elsewhere to talk about this, but it's a very big deal. It's an example of government out of control, isn't it?
Well, I think that's a good idea, and you'll be able to. I mean, you already have enough information. I think you've already won the battle.
Well, I already told him. I told him, if you come back to try to put a smart meter on my house, I'm coming out of my studio, which is on the other side of the wall, with my shotgun. I already told him I'm going to sue you. I'm going to actually sue the lawyer who threatened me to put me in jail. I'm going to sue this utility, and I'm going to sue the attorneys and the so-called administrative law judges at the CPUC. I'm going to sue you personally for violating under the KETAM Section 83 laws, the federal laws, that you violate my civil rights, you put me in danger, and you actually increase the danger of electrical fires, medical hazards, and wiretapping fraud. This is really, really bad, and it's, by the way, an Agenda 21 United Nations policy, which we've estimated in the next 10 years will cost somewhere between $8 and $12 trillion to switch over to smart meters, including appliance switching over to the Zigbee network, so they can literally switch off your appliances remotely by a centrally controlled computer system to so-called protect the grid from extra power utilization demands. That's how crazy this is, and we're not going to put up with it.
Okay, can I change the subject to Tundura?
Yes, let's do that. That was just an update I had to give there because it had to happen. Let's go into Tundura, which is in probably Indonesia, right?
VOLCANO is right outside Mexico City.
Oh, okay. You got the Popocatépetl, yeah. The big volcano just outside of, yeah, that's a biggie. Let's
and we've been watching it. It's been very active for the last 2 weeks. And, of course, it's been active before. But in this case, they are actually planning an evacuation because if the wind should turn to the north, then the ash from that mountain, it's 40 miles away from Mexico City. The ash from that mountain could go into Mexico City. So they're planning on evacuations. And I don't know how you can evacuate 21 million people, but or however many million people live in Mexico City. But I wanted to give some precautions. If you hear of an earthquake that's magnitude 8 or greater, so a massive earthquake, you want to consider that it can cause a volcanic eruption up to 500 miles away. And volcanic eruptions can cause extinction level events. For instance, they can cause volcanic winters, and in some cases they can just they kill you. They carry poisonous gases, and the gases turn to acid, and they just eat the flesh off your bones.
Yeah, not only that, they also not only have acid, they have high levels of hydrofluoric acid, which is extremely toxic, and fluoride, but they also contain radioisotopes. Most people don't realize that much of the volcanoes that occur in Iceland and elsewhere are also radioactive ash. They're not just regular ash, they're radioactive.
Right. So I wanted to put out my opinion, and that is, if you think that you're going to be under a cloud of volcanic ash, what you want to do is you want to wear the N95 medical masks.
Which is why we have them in our radiation kit now. We added 2 NIOSH N95 masks, as well as Nutritrella, NutriDefense, and Nutridyne.
Yes, and the ash can actually be smaller than bacteria, and so it can get into your lungs, and it won't get out. I mean, you'll drown in cement essentially. It's very hard. It's not soft. It looks like it's soft, but it isn't. It's very, very hard. It doesn't dissolve in water. It's extremely abrasive and mildly corrosive, and conducts electricity when wet. So if you're under a volcanic cloud, and I remember when Mount St. Helens went, they had the volcanic dust that was falling in Portland, Oregon. Once in the air, the wind can blow those tiny ash particles tens of thousands of miles away from the volcano. And the gritty ash can lead to power outages, prevent communications, and, of course, disorient people. Now, if you're going to be under a volcanic cloud, ash cloud, which remember that the CDC says that you should only wear the N95 mask for about 15 minutes, because about that time your blood oxygen saturation level will fall below 90%. So they're only good for going from your home to your car, and then I hope that you have the kind of car where you don't suck in the outside air, where you can turn that button on and just use the interior air, and then going from the car to your office.
Yeah. Yeah, we're seeing Earth changes in every possible way are increasing the danger of crop failures, the danger of being outside, the danger with Fukushima, and now we have volcanic ash flying over Mexico City soon, and mass evacuations planned even of Tokyo from Fukushima.
And we're back. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. Alrighty, he's in the middle of a commercial break. So, let me give you some of the news for today. Let's wear the regular glasses for a minute. Okay, SOT.net, east and west coast of Canada hit with inexplicable earthquake swarms. Sounds like dynamite exploding. Okay, heads up. And a magnitude 4.7 earthquake struck about 200 kilometers west of Vancouver Island. 4.1 magnitude earthquake jolts Southern California. That was out by Devore. 6.7 deep magnitude earthquake hits Tonga Trench in the Pacific. Colorado tornadoes cause widespread damage. Okay, we got that one. Let's get rid of that. Let's go on now to the Watchers, watching the world. Alberta Aurora, Prairie Light time-lapse movie by Zoltan Kenwell. Climate in Northwest Europe and Balkans is becoming suitable for disease-spreading Asian tiger mosquito. Strong and deep magnitude 6.4 earthquake struck Tonga region. And let's see what else has happened here. Mysterious green cloud over Moscow spark nuclear disaster fears. We already talked about that one. Okay, let's move on to something else here. Sounds like it's still going. Yeah, it's still commercial. But he should be coming back in a minute. Let's see. Here we go. The Extinction Protocol 2012. U.S. Let's see here. U.S. deploys fleet of sophisticated stealth planes to airbase in Southwest Asia. Moving slow. Come on. Spain plunges towards the abyss. Unemployment rate approaches U.S. level of 25% during the Great Depression. Okay. And again about the earthquakes. Southern California. No, he's still gone. The population time bomb. World needs to stabilize population and cut consumption, says Royal Society. Oh, the depopulation agenda. What's that, Agenda 21 or something? Again, about the east and west coast of Canada hit with earthquake swarms. Let's see if he's back. Nope, still commercial. He should be back in a minute. Study finds warming speeding up rainfall cycle. And that's it for the Extinction Protocol for tonight. Let's get rid of that so we will move a little faster. Here it comes.
And we're now joined by Robert Felix. Robert, what's the latest in terms of the ice ages and other changes occurring? Of course, we now have the danger that Mexico City is under the risk of a major ash cloud, which could cause evacuation of up to over 30 million people, possibly up to 35 million with the greater Mexico City area. Same thing going on with Fukushima Daiichi, and I have to repeat this, that the danger is not something that may happen, it's happening as we speak. The amount of radiation that's being released that we're constantly being bathed with here in North America is going to bioaccumulate. The amount of cesium, strontium, plutonium, americium, all these radioisotopes is increasing, and even in the upper atmosphere, the xenon-133, the radioiodine-131 is actually showing up and destroying the ozone layer. People need to be aware we could have crop shock, where ultraviolet C and D light literally wipe out crops in the northern hemisphere. We're dealing with literally earth changes on a galactic level that people don't understand. After December 21st, we're going to be exposed to major superstorms on the sun. And there's actually, if you go to spaceweather.com, you can see a lot of issues going on in terms of space weather, including a major activity that's turned away from us right now, but this Solar Dynamic Observatory is recording a massive cloud of plasma flying over the sun's southwestern limb. So when it turns around back toward us, because I think it turns every, 28 or 29 days, the sun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 27 days.
It's going to turn back toward us, and the sun is having fits. And if those fits happen to turn in our direction with their ultraviolet light protection and their magnetosphere down and our ozone layer being destroyed by Fukushima, we're going to have some bad times. And people don't understand this. They think that we're making all this up. They also have people that are not nuclear or scientific experts that make statements that think that Fukushima is just minor and it's not poisoning us. It's going to poison us. In fact, 5 years or 10 years from now, it's going to be very difficult to get safe, non-radioactive food. Right now, if people are getting seafood from the Pacific Ocean, they should take their radiation detector, their Inspector Plus, and the new one we are now selling through our new sub-website is the Inspector EXP. We'll also have the Monitor 4, which is a few $100s. The Inspector EXP is $780, but it has a special radiation probe you can bring right over the fish or whatever you want to eat, like your veggies, and it'll determine right away of buy. It has, like, I should say, a buy or don't buy flash on it. If it goes click, 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 back away from the fish counter.
Oh, that's great. They finally came out with a low-level probe, huh?
Yeah, they have a low-level probe that's very nice. You can hold it with one hand while the meter's there, and you can see the numbers, but it'll make an audible sound. So I'm sure that the manager of the store will come out if you walk near the fish counter and it starts going click, 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 and you back away while somebody videotapes you on their iPhone 4 Siri. It'll be quite humorous.
Well, but they'll call the police, and you'll be accused of a public disturbance.
That's okay. I like public disturbance. No, I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to take my radiation detector, go do it, and I dare them to try to arrest me. I dare them to do it. I triple dog dare them to do it. Please arrest me. Please have a real conundrum, because the damage that I'll do to the police department and the local authorities in the store, because I know the store manager down at the local stores, if my detector's fine, it doesn't go click, 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 but if it goes click, 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 bad stuff's going to happen. And that's what we have to have, activist citizens who finally decide we've had enough. We're not getting reporting by the EPA. We're not getting reporting by the government departments. Even UC Berkeley won't return my calls or emails. I am so pissed off and so mad about this. That's why we're having a consortium of scientists like Dr. Chris Busby and others we're going to put together. I would have put together a live stream conference long before we have the conference that they're planning in Austin, Texas in July. We don't have a lot of time. If reactor cooling pool 4 falls, if this thing has a major burp and we have a hydrogen-based explosion that can trigger off a nuclear explosion, they're going to have to evacuate Tokyo. And we're going to have a massive plutonium radiation cloud that's going to come eastward toward North America. And we're already being fed radiation every day as we speak. And people just don't get it. They think, oh, you're exaggerating, including Joel Scouts. They think we're exaggerating. We shouldn't be scaremongering people and frightening them. If you don't take radiation protection right now seriously, the unborn are already getting damaged and destroyed. They're getting birth defects. And it'll soon start affecting us, and it'll cause Alzheimer's, vascular disease, and every kind of illness caused by immune system failure. And so the liars that tell you it won't hurt you, no, it won't hurt you right away, but the open, invisible maw of the giant, what was that monster back in that the Japanese had in their monster movies? I call it Fukushima-zilla, that's it. That's my latest version. Fukushima-zilla instead of Godzilla. So Fukushima-zilla has an invisible maw open, ready to swallow up humanity, and people try to unqualifiedly say, don't worry, Fukushima's not going to eat you. It is going to eat you. Okay.
Between that and the volcanoes, you had asked about or you had mentioned that volcano,
Right.
Popocatépetl.
Popocatépetl.
I checked. I've been having a lot of people ask on my website, has volcanic activity been increasing? And I have been telling people that volcanic activity is the strongest that it's been since Columbus. But I checked the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History for that question: has volcanic activity been increasing? And they say we don't think so. Notice they didn't say they're sure. It's just that they don't think so. And what they say, they do agree that the number of active volcanoes over the last few centuries shows a dramatic increase. And that's their words, dramatic increase. I agree with that. But then they note that the increase is closely related to increases in the world's human population and communication. We believe, they say, that this represents an increased reporting of eruptions rather than increased frequency of global volcanism. More observers in wider geographic distribution with better communication and broader publication. In other words, they think the increase in global volcanism is more apparent than real. But notice, they didn't say they're sure. They say they think this. They say they believe this. Those aren't words you normally hear coming from a scientific institution, that they believe.
Firstly, I think they're lying, because we know that even since March of last year, we're not talking about ancient history. There's been a 500% increase in actual measured volcanic activity around the Sendai, Japan area and Fukushima Daiichi. 500%. So this foolishness of these so-called pseudoscientists makes me more angry than these so-called tenured professors and liars in government departments that won't tell us the facts, that the whole earth is shaking, rattling, and rolling. And these earthquakes and volcanoes are popping off, and they're putting in grave danger 75% of our nuclear reactors that are sitting near fault line strike zone, like the San Jacinto fault zone that's an upthrust right beside San Onofre. This 29th, this Sunday, there's a big protest right at the San Onofre reactor site. If you go on our website, we posted it up this week. The fact is, and of course a lot of them are what I call the green side, the phony green side environmentalists that think that we're peak oil and all this other foolishness. But the fact is, they should not start this plant up. There are actual engineering defects that they've discovered in the actual tube designs. They know that they've tweaked the so-called being alike, and they added a lot more tubes to the system. This reactor is sitting near a fault subductive thrust zone, which could, in their own words of experts, 13 years ago when they discovered it, could cause a level 7 to 9 plus earthquake, which would, of course, decimate the reactor core and cause a massive release of radiation to 8.5 million people in Southern California alone, and then spread eastwards. So these people are, again, the same kind of idiots that set up a nuclear reactor system in Japan on a bunch of fault zones, including reactor 1 and 2, that are sitting right on top of fault lines. So literally, the reactor core itself is sitting in reactor 1 right on a fault line, right on top of it.
Well, even without the, not talking about the reactor cores, isn't it true that the water that they've used to cool it down, the water that is so radioactive, is just being held it's being dammed up and
No, they're actually leaking it everywhere. It's going into the groundwater. They're actually taking pumps, and they're now going to put new pumps in to pump over 1,000 tons of water per day and pump it right out of the groundwater where it's building up and pump it directly into the Pacific Ocean. 1,000 tons a day they want to pump out from wells around Fukushima because it's leaking out so fast into the groundwater table around Fukushima Daiichi. They want to pump 1,000 tons unfiltered directly radioactive water into the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
Now, when I hear comments by people who don't spend, like I do, hundreds and hundreds of hours and have a background in quantum and nuclear physics and work in occupational radiation toxicology, you need to shut the hell up when you're talking to people out there that don't know what you're doing and telling people everything's okay when it's not. It's not okay. This is not a not okay time. It's not a future maybe happening. This is happening as we speak, and it's the beginning of the disaster, not the end of it.
And we're back. Yes, we're back. And what we'll do is we'll report on energy news. Okay, energy news. We'll go on the Fukushima side here. Source: Real mystery black substance not yet measured, possibly 20 million becquerels per kilogram of cesium, many times more radioactive than local officials sample. It is too dangerous and must be analyzed by public institutions. Uh-oh, cats are going to fight. Let's see. They didn't like hearing that either. Tokyo's suburb. Children playing on dirt with huge amounts of radioactivity. Includes alpha particles, cesium levels so high it prevented identification of other isotopes. Footage of government official at Fukushima inspecting support posts under spent fuel pool number 4. I guess there's a video there somewhere. Japan medical doctors coming to America to tell of Fukushima's underreported health consequences. Oh, so the Japan medical doctors has to inform our medical doctors and our EPA of what's going on. It's like we don't have the science technology to do that ourselves. You better wake up. And I said you better start reporting it. Start reporting it, you guys, because you're going to look like idiots when you say, oh, well, we must have had wrong information from the radiation net, or whatever that is that I've been on. I watched that and never says anything goes up. Yeah, right. It said it was reporting radiation levels over in the Japan area at only like 19 and 20, 22. What was it, rad dot net, something like that. I'm gonna go on there and show you that radiation thing. I should swing around and show you guys. Okay, he's still at break. Highest hydrogen levels of year inside reactor number 2 containment vessel. Menichi published his report on thyroid cancer, 30% in Fukushima now with tumors of 2 centimeters or less. Thyroid gland only 5 centimeters by 3 centimeters total. Claims cancer increases after 10 sievert radiation dose. So Japan, okay, with 10,000 millisieverts. Let's see if he's back. No. Source, over 500 microsieverts /H detected from black substance. Kyoto. Government says thousands in Fukushima need immediate psychological care after filling out survey. Trouble sleeping and concentrating. Official. Plutonium detected in black substance from Minamisoma. Let's see if he's back. Government. Almost impossible to restart Japan nuclear plant. Tsuruga reactor will tilt if faults move. Chances virtually nil. And that's from Kyoto. 7-fold increase in radioactive cesium being released from reactor 2 during April. Watch. Local Fukushima official films radioactive whirlwind. All black dust has been also blown away. He might be back. Here he comes. Here he goes. Go back to doing what you're doing and listen.
Great Talk Radio starts here.
Welcome back to the NutriMedical Report, and we have some more amazing news. And of course, a lot of people say, Dr. Deagle, you're just exaggerating. And well, I'm actually going to take a section of the reports here. I got an email actually from Dr. Ron Klatz, who's the president of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, with 22,000 doctor members worldwide, Dr. Ron Klatz, and he said, this interesting article written here says, hanging by a thread. And of course, the quote is with Christina Consolo's essay. And of course, it may be hyperbole for to say that we're in immediate danger of the whole Northern Hemisphere, but it's not actually, because this is a slow burn. This is like taking the frogs in the beaker, only it's a radioactive beaker, and it could speed up dramatically. If the amount of radiation just in the Mox cooling pool number 4 has enough radioisotopes, and there's 7 storage pools there, and they actually brought in radioisotopes from the former Soviet Union because it was an illegal plutonium enrichment program to make plutonium detonators for a Japanese nuclear armaments weapon system, and they can literally make nuclear weapons in a matter of a weekend with some of the most advanced rockets to put them into orbit. The Japanese have a giant storehouse of nuclear materials that could be literally the largest supply outside the United States and Russia on the planet, and people just don't get it, what's going on there. So anybody who says this is a minor problem really doesn't understand. And if you're not taking radiation protection now, that's why we have a radiation protection thing, and people should start thinking about a greenhouse, about protection. You've said it over and over again, and we need to be checking the amount of UV light. You go online and find out what the UV index is, because you may be surprised how high it is, even if it's a cloudy day. People should be aware of the radiation levels. They're not going to get it unless they get a radiation detector and say, oh my gosh, look how high it is. I'm surprised some days when it's kind of normal, and other days it's like 3 to 5, 4 times higher than background, and I go like, oh my gosh. And I know we're being bathed with tritium and other radioisotopes. So people who say it's not going to hurt us, they're crazy. These are crazy people who need to shut the hell up. They need to stop talking when they're talking about things they don't understand.
Well, you know, when you put that's coming from Fukushima on top of what is going to come from natural sources, because our magnetic field strength, no one is questioning this at all. Our magnetic field strength has been declining rapidly. It's declined more than 2/3 in the last 2,000 years. The rate of decline is picking up. That magnetic field, our magnetosphere, is what protects us from cosmic rays, and that's what protects us from more radioactive material like strontium and beryllium-10, carbon-14. Those all rain to the ground during magnetic reversals, and as our magnetic field is declining, we're going to see more and more of that.
And a layer of iridium, too. A layer of iridium, which is element 77, iridium, which is an interstellar space that rains to the ground because it's literally outside the Van Allen radiation belt, and when the magnetosphere collapses, the iridium descends to Earth, as well as helium-3, which is, by the way, because the moon doesn't have a magnetic field, the concentration of helium-3 on the moon is 100,000 to 10 million times higher concentrations, which is why they can mine it there.
Wow.
Because it's a product of solar wind. And they know this, and the government knows it, and that's why they don't want you to tell that they don't really need oil at all. We can have tokamak fusion reactors, plasma distribution networks. We can have wave energy. We can have energy from the torsion field, which is called Tesla energy. And by the way, to get rid of radioisotopes, and I'm going to propose this for scientists out there listening worldwide, what Nikola Tesla, and I finally figured it out, what he did is he recommended to the original researchers in oil, on new radioisotopes, that you create a scalar, what's called a cyclotron ion resonance in the same element of the periodic table. So, for example, if you're getting rid of a radioisotope, you take a non-radioactive element in the same particular periodic table, and you create that scalar frequency and broadcast it. It shakes literally the non-radioactive portions of the nuclei out and literally accelerates the T1/2 or the radioactive decay index, which is why high-energy magnetic fields and plasma fields around stars can accelerate degradation or half-life. It's not fixed. And Tesla told the original researchers on radioisotopes, what's her name, Marie Curie, that he could stop the effect of the cumulative bioradiation she had, which caused her to eventually develop a claw hand, by using scalar technology. And what basically he did, and this can be done now, it's more advanced, it's called ion cyclotron resonance, and we're going to be talking about this further in the program. You can create an ion cyclotron resonance to actually detoxify radioactive isotope areas by rapidly accelerating the decay. So instead of taking 200 years, it might take 2 years to decay elements. That should be done. We should have our scientists looking at this significantly, because we can create these type of special ionic fields that will actually speed the decay of these isotopes.
Senator Beale, again, I would like to change the subject to the mad cow disease that was found in your state.
Oh my gosh, that's scary stuff.
This is scary stuff.
Very scary,
And
very scary.
I just really quick want to go over those things that people can do to avoid exposure to this prion disease.
Right, and then, by the way, it was found in Northern California, and it was found in a cow they said didn't enter the either meat or milk production. People need to be aware that it is a problem, and the only way to get rid of prions, believe it or not, not, you can't even have a cow that's dead buried in the ground because the prions will stay in there hundreds of years. Or if a deer has a prion disease and the cow eats grass grown on a pasture where the deer died 10 or 20 years ago, that prions will ascend right into the actual grass fibers, and when the cow eats the grass fibers, that prion disease will enter through their bloodstream, through their central nervous system, their brain, and cause spongiform encephalopathy, which in humans is called Jakob-Creutzfeldt disease. That was first discovered in called scrapie in Australia, where people would eat sheep and sheep brains and end up with scrapie because the prions would jump from the sheep into the sheep herders and the sheep shearers down in Australia and eat away at their brain and create little bubbles called prion-induced spongiform encephalopathy.
Okay, I just want to give your listeners some advice. And this is published, by the way, so this is nothing new.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll post it up too.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Avoid brains, neck bones, and beef cheeks. Avoid bone marrow and cuts of beef that are sold on the bone. So in other words, get the cuts of beef that are boneless. Choose boneless cuts of meat, and for ground beef, choose only meat that is ground on site in the store. And cooking does not kill mad cow disease. And that's right. They even sterilization techniques in hospitals do not kill prions.
But apparently, though, and this is an interesting thing because I pulled some research and I'll post it up, there are specific nutritional deficiencies that allow prions to infect you. So if you're deficient in certain nutrients, the prions are more likely to infect you, and that should transfect through your gut wall and your nervous system. So it's permissive. In other words, even if there's prions in the environment or your diet, it doesn't mean you're going to get it unless you're nutritionally deficient in specific things that will cause that to happen.
Well, and I think that they're not giving us the whole story there. The fact that there was just a random chance that they picked up this disease, and I don't know how they do their testing, but they may mix up several brains from several cows to do their testing. I mean, it was just a...
Well, they should have done testing on every animal that is for human production in the country. And they should be doing sampling of wild game as well, because there's certain areas where it should be, if you shoot the deer or the game, do not eat it, even if it looks healthy. So we don't have that. We need to have, again, the U.S. Department of Agriculture is not doing proper testing of all of the animals. I'm talking about all the animals, not just some of them.
When they issue a hunting permit for deer now, they ask the hunters to bring in the deer head. And so you'll find carcasses out in the woods with their heads missing. And then they have to bring it into the USDA.
But the problem is, are they reporting it online? And also, are they doing the same thing for cow? People don't realize that if a cow has prion disease, it will be in the milk. It will be in milk products. And I don't think it's in the general environment now, but I know that there's a danger. And the danger comes, firstly, if they simply tested all the cows and tested all the pastures, too, where those cows were eating, because if there's any animal that died or had excrement or anything like stool that got into the environment, those prions from that animal that were infected will actually, just like viruses or bacteria in a human, they'll literally transfect the environment and make it likely that other animals eating grass in that environment could get sick with prion disease. So I don't think that level of surveillance is present in terms of cows and any other animals. No, it's not. And it needs to be, because as an infectious disease expert, and I can tell you, a public relations prepper expert, I can tell you, our government is beyond incompetent. They're evil, they're stupid, and they're dangerous. And we need to stop them, and we need to consult or actually contract private consultants and universities and have them on a short contract, and if they don't perform, cut the cord. And these government department employees need to be fired because they're not doing their job about the disaster in Fukushima, the disaster in Macondo, and the British petroleum oil disaster. Nothing. They're doing nothing to protect the environment or protect us from dangerous food, air, and water. Nothing.
They're telling us it's global warming when it's really global cooling.
Exactly. Amazing. Check it out, the websites again, icehnow.info. And hi, this.
And we're back. And that was, well, we can go back in. I believe that's the end of the show. So, and I don't think there's a lot more news to report on tonight. So, alrighty then. It's actually early morning. So you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. We still have this one day, Sunday, left of the weekend, and then we'll start the countdown all over again. Hopefully you got some stuff done while you're listening to Dr. Deagle. And have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. Take care.